Ladies and gentlemen, we got not one, not two, not three, but about 4 to 5 topics to go over in this video. This is going to be one of the most jam-packed videos we've ever done, but first, real quick, I got to show you guys this. So I'm scrolling through my Instagram DMs, right? If y'all want to follow me on Instagram, feel free to do so. It's MattBGreatYT. And I click on this picture. The person who sends me it, they don't even put a caption or nothing. It's just a picture of this right here. And it says right here, study shows kids who are homeschooled could miss out on the opportunity to be a gay communist. What even is that? The internet stays undefeated. I don't know if I should be more concerned with what that means or why the person even sent me that. I guess the biggest question I have is I don't know if that's a satire post, like it's a joke, or I don't know if it's real. Anyways, let's get back on topic with football. Like I said, we got a bunch of stuff to go over, but the two main topics are going to be Notre Dame's head coach calling out Ohio State and also a running back from Texas. I think a lot of you know who this said running back is. He goes by the name of Bijan Robinson. And recently, he sent out a message to everybody, and it's terrible. We're going to go over everything. I'm going to get you up to date on the college football world. Like always, we're on the road to 200K, so if you want to help us achieve our dreams of hitting 200K, consider hitting that subscribe button. If not, that's cool too. And now without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start off with this first. I was scrolling through Twitter and I happened to see this and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I believe the guy who posted it, the Big Game Boomer page you see right here, he's the guy who made this list. Or not really a list, my bad. It's more of a map of the loudest college football stadiums in every state. My immediate reaction looking at this list, I'm like, okay, I kind of agree with everything. Nothing seems too out of place here, and that's one of the few lists that I don't think too many people are going to have a problem with. I'm sure everybody's not going to agree with this, and I will say the only thing that really jumped off of the page to me was all the way on the West Coast in California, he has Fresno State as the loudest stadium. I don't have too much to say about that. I just don't know if it's true. So if you are from California, let me know if that's right. I can honestly say I've never been to a Fresno State football game, and I've also never heard anybody say it was a loud stadium. I don't know about that, but with USC being down the past 5 to 10 years, it does make sense. Me personally, whenever I think of some of the loudest college football stadiums, the one that automatically comes to my mind is LSU. I also know everybody's going to say Penn State, aka Happy Valley, and that is a loud place too. I don't know, man. Everybody has their own preference, and it also depends whenever you go to the stadium, but LSU, they're number one on my list. Moving on to our second topic in this video, I also saw this. I guess everybody's making all these random lists because we're in the off season. It says these are the top 10 football helmets in college football. This list, on the other hand, is not very accurate in my opinion because I don't even care who's on the list because I notice Oregon is nowhere to be found. I don't have a problem with this list because we're talking about college football helmets. It's not like there's a humongous difference, but if you don't have Oregon on there, I don't think your list is valuable at all. You gotta have Oregon on there. Whenever you think of some of the best helmets of all time and best uniforms, they're up there. Getting on to our third topic and one of the main topics of this video, Notre Dame, they got a new head coach because Brian Kelly left, and their new head coach goes by the name of Marcus Freeman. From everything I've heard, Marcus Freeman, he's a respectable guy and people think he's gonna do a good job. Can he do a better job than Brian Kelly? I don't know, because at the end of the day, Notre Dame simply doesn't have the guys to compete with the Ohio States, USCs, Alabamas, and Georgias of the world. The reason for that is fairly simple. No 5 or 4-star recruit that's wanting to get to the NFL and make a ton of money, they don't want to go to Notre Dame because academics are strict there. It's not to say they won't get 5 and 4-star recruits because they will, but it's not going to be as abundantly as Georgia and Alabama. That's besides the point. Marcus Freeman, their new head coach, hasn't even coached a game there yet, and he's already causing chaos. For those of you that don't know, in week 1 of this up-and-coming season, Notre Dame and Ohio State play each other. And very recently, I believe it was a day or two ago, Marcus Freeman did an interview and he took a jab at Ohio State. Here's what he had to say about Ohio State, which is also his alma mater. Quote unquote, you don't go to class at places like that, referring to Ohio State. Also adding, okay, take some online classes, show up for your appointments. At Notre Dame, you're forced to go to class every day. My bad, I misworded that. He said forced every day to go to class. You get the point. What's so ironic about all of this, like I said, he graduated from Ohio State, but some random guy tweeted out, I literally wrote a paper for Marcus Freeman freshman year at Ohio State. Here's my takeaway from his statement. Is he wrong? I mean, he's just stating the obvious and what everybody knows. You know how at the beginning of college football games when they talk about the academic player of the game and he has like a 3.8 GPA? Have you not noticed it's always in some weird major like cooking, real estate, or business? It's never nothing crazy. All of these guys that go to Ohio State, Alabama, Texas, Tennessee, any big time major program that's not Notre Dame, they're not really taking these hardcore classes, and I don't even know if they're showing up to class. And I can't blame the kids, because all these guys that have the potential to go to the NFL, you really think they're concerned about going to class? I don't think so. They want to take the easiest classes possible, and they just want to get by so they can make it to the league. At Notre Dame, though, it's much different, and that's why they have such a hard time in recruiting. They can't recruit and keep up with the big dogs, and I don't know if Brian Kelly is an elite coach. I wouldn't put him in that category yet, but we really don't know what his full potential could have been because he was coaching at Notre Dame. Now that Brian Kelly's at LSU, a school that can recruit with Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, we'll see what he's made out of. I did find that rather interesting though. He's already taking shots at schools like Ohio State, and he's got to play them in the upcoming year. I was reading some of these comments and they're pretty funny. One guy said, Ohio State players would be pissed if they could read. Scrolling down on this comment, and it's exactly what I said. Do people actually think these kids at Bama show up to every class? Nobody in their right mind has ever thought these Bama players were showing up to class, but here's what is happening. Since it's 2022, you can now do these online classes, and they're probably just getting somebody to do it for them, or they're taking an easy class. It's rather simple, whereas at Notre Dame, they actually force you to go to class. But once again, it all goes back to this. Do you really think Bryce Young chose to go to Alabama because of their academics? If you don't know the answer to that question, I'll let you know right now, he did not. He went to Alabama just like every other 5-star recruit goes to Alabama to get one step closer to the NFL. Whereas for these Notre Dame kids, at least probably 80-85% of them, they're going there to play football and get a degree in case they don't make it to the league. That's not to say that some of these Alabama players are dumb and they're not smart, because there is a handful of them, but that's my point. There's only a handful. Last but not least, moving on to our final topic of this video, we got no other than Mr. Bijan Robinson himself, and I believe he's the best running back in all of college football. Please do not kill me in the comment section for this, but every time I watch his highlights or I watch him play at Texas, he reminds me a lot of Reggie Bush. I know that's something crazy to say, and I'm not saying he's Reggie Bush, but he reminds me of him. The size, the strength, the explosiveness, the quick twitch abilities, it just resembles him so much, and also it helps he wears number 5. If I was an NFL GM, I know I'm not supposed to pick a running back in the top 10 or 15 in the NFL draft, but this is a guy I would highly consider. I could go on and on about some Bijan Robinson. I love everything about him. The dude can ball. But however, we're not here to talk about his abilities on the field. We're here to talk about what he said off the field. A few days ago in an interview, he addressed all the haters and critics, and here's what he had to say. Hearing the constant, even this offseason, just the constant 5-7 from outside people to even the coaching staff, that brings a different motivation to the team. Oh man, Bijan. Let me explain something to you, my guy. That's Texas's problem right there. They're already concerned about what people outside of the locker room think about them. There's no reason to even talk about or pay attention to the external factors. They don't matter. Just because Matt B. Great or some random bozo on Instagram says, hey Bijan, y'all went 5-7 last year, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. None of that matters because I don't have an outcome on the game. The only people that do is the people in your locker room. So number one, there's no reason to even address the haters. I don't think that's too big of a deal though. Here's my main problem with that message he sent out. Mr. Bijan Robinson, last year, you had 195 carries for 1,127 yards, which comes to a whopping 5.8 yards per carry. To go along with that, you also had 11 touchdowns on the ground, 295 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. You was absolutely phenomenal last year, and I think you was the best running back in the country. Bijan, that's the problem though, my man. You was phenomenal, and you still only went 5-7. I think he's going to have a great year once again next year, but as a running back, you can't really determine what your team's going to do. Bijan, I want you to hear me out on this. 5-7 is 5-7. People saying you went 5-7 last year, it's not hating on you, it's facts. I don't care if you lost all 7 games by 1 point. Your record is your record. I do expect Texas to be a lot better than last year, but a lot of that's going to depend on how good Quinn Ewers is and how much can the defense improve. Take a look at his quote. He says, hearing the constant 5-7 from outside people, that brings a different motivation to the team. Here's my question. Shouldn't going 5-7 be enough motivation itself? I don't know, maybe that's just me, but apparently they need these external factors to motivate them. That message from Bijan is what represents Texas football the past 8 to 10 years. All they do every single year, and I'm tired of it, is hype themselves up in the offseason and they wet the bed when football comes around. Do you hear all these Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State players talking how good they're going to be in the upcoming year? No, because they just do it. They're not all talk. They're going to show you how good you are in the field. In Texas, they should take the same advice. And oh yeah, don't even get me started on if they win 1 or 2 games in a row because they start saying we're back. And it seems like every time they say they're back, they go on to be terrible right after it. I'm just going to end the video off there. Let me know your thoughts on everything down below, but I will be